In episode 169 of the Guitar Music Theory podcast, I talk about some good Christmas songs to learn and share some nuggets of music theory wisdom from each one. Greetings, guitar engineers. Welcome to the Guitar Music Theory podcast. If you're captivated by the magic of guitar music and eager to unravel the mysteries of music theory, you're in the right place. I'm Desi Cerna, your host, fellow guitar enthusiast, and author of Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, Guitar Picking Mechanics, and more. In each episode of this podcast, I delve into the fascinating world of guitar and music theory, demystifying complex concepts and providing practical insights to help you become a more informed and skilled guitarist. Together, we'll explore chord progressions, scales, improvisation techniques, and more, unlocking the secrets that make guitar music an irresistible art. Today, in episode 169, I review some Christmas song guitar lessons I've previously posted on YouTube. These lessons feature great Christmas songs to learn, and I'll break down the nuggets of music theory wisdom each one provides. Topics include passing chords, chord melody, playing in sixths, and more. It's going to be a fantastic discussion, but before we dive in, I want to share some exciting news. Starting in the new year, I'll be offering a variety of group Zoom guitar classes. These classes will cover popular topics such as guitar soloing, jamming, and improvisation. Each class will run for 6 to 10 weeks with 1 hour long Zoom meetings per week. All sessions will be recorded, and you'll have access to the recordings and lesson materials in my member area even after the class concludes. I'll be sending out more details and enrollment links to my email list soon. If you're not currently on my email list, you can subscribe in one of two ways. Visit my homepage at guitarmusictheory.com and select one of the free guitar courses that you can enroll in. Or two, just click on the subscribe link in the website navigation and enter your email address. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss announcements about classes or content you might need. Now, let's get started with today's podcast, Good Christmas Songs to Learn. All right, so we're ready to dive in. So we're going to talk about Christmas songs. So recently, I sent out an email with just a list of some Christmas song lessons that I had done over the years. And I just encourage people, they're free lessons. You find them on YouTube. Some are posted on Facebook. And it was just my little gift to y'all. Go out and learn a Christmas song since it's the holiday season. So I thought I would just go through and talk a little bit about each one of those songs. We'll dive in here. Let's talk about my rig. I'm using my Kemper profiling amplifier. And I'm using a profile of a 1967 Fender Proverb from Tone Junkie. That's what you're hearing here. And I have some reverb on there. And the guitar I'm using, this is a PRS SE Mira, M-I-R-A, but I don't have the PRS pickups in it. I put some Seymour Duncan Fat Cat pickups in it. And they are actually P90 pickups, but they're in a casing that's the same size as a humbucker. So if you wanted to drop P90 pickups in your humbucker guitar, you can do that, and they fit the router hole there. So that's my bridge pickup you heard. Here's the middle position with both pickups on. Here's the neck pickup. All right, sounds good to me. I like it. All right, so I'm going to go back to that email. Hey, here's another reason to get on my email list, because I often share stuff like this, a lot of free stuff. Okay, we're going to start with Please Come Home for Christmas by the Eagles. And I'm actually going to play the video that I have posted. Here it is. I use this as the opening music to today's episode. Greetings, guitar engineers. Oh, hey. And in this video, gentlemen, how does this song work? Featuring Please Come Home for Christmas by the Eagles. Okay. That was me talking to me. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this song. You can, of course, review the full lesson on YouTube, or I think it's also on Facebook. It's on my website. Actually, it may have been blocked on YouTube now that I think about it, because Don Henley and the Eagles are notorious about blocking stuff. But if you go to my website, guitarmusictheory.com, and just search Please Come Home for Christmas, you'll see a blog post. I have a little information about the song. I have a video embedded, and then there's also a whole chart. And I don't teach this song note for note. What I do is I show you the basic chords, and I teach you like the harmony and the chord changes and what's happening in that. So I'm going to just read some of the text off my blog post. It says, Please Come Home for Christmas by the Eagles includes some interesting twists and turns that leave your average guitarist wondering how the seemingly unrelated chords sound so good together. In this free video guitar lesson, I explain how the song makes use of composition techniques such as chromatic voice leading and secondary dominants to create a soulful rhythm and blues Christmas classic. I explain everything from counting the 12/8 time signature to using the major pentatonic scale featured during the guitar solo. So I'm going to pull up the chart here. And let's see, let's open this image in a new window so I can zoom in big. Oh, there we go. Now I can see better. So this song's in the key of A. And it's a good opportunity for you to use some seventh chords if maybe you've learned those, but you haven't actually used them in many songs. Maybe most of the songs you're playing are using plain major and minor chords. Well, there's lots of sevenths here. You start off with an A major, then A major 7, A dominant 7th. Then there's a D. Then there's a B7/D. There's even an augmented chord. So it's got what I like to call old school chord changes. There's some, jazzy influence here, a lot of dominance. And there's also like chromatic voice leading. So at the very beginning there, you hear how as I change from chord to chord, there's a note that's going down by a half step. Not unlike, let's take Stairway to Heaven, for example. The same thing is happening here in Please Come Home for Christmas with some different chords, though. Stairway starts on A minor. This starts on A major. Then A major 7. Then A dominant 7th. Then it goes to a D chord, and D's got a F sharp in it. And then from here, so that's, then if we go to the root of that D chord, you go to D sharp. So more half step movement in there, which leads you into an E note, which is part of an A chord. So very jazzy with that. That's voice leading, half step movement. I think there's another music theory term for this that I'm not thinking of right now, but if you've learned Stairway and you understand how it's connected to that chromatic, descending chromatic movement, here's an example of doing something similar with major chords. And then this chord here, it kind of sounds like a diminished. It could be thought of that way. Or it's actually the 2-chord, secondary dominant 2-chord, B7 with its third in the bass position. It kind of has the same sort of effect. There's a diminished, or there's a inversion of the B7 chord, but it actually does have a diminished triad in it, which is why it sounds diminished. You could think of it either way. I think of it either way. Anyway, so that's one of the things that I think is most useful about learning Please Come Home for Christmas. If you're like me, you might be interested in some jazz harmony, but you may not be much of a jazz fan, or you may not be interested in playing much jazz. I fully admit that I am a pop rocker at heart, classic rocker at heart. But I do appreciate other styles of music, and I do listen to some jazz on occasion and kind of dabbled in it. But it wasn't something that I loved so much that I could just fully immerse myself in it. But there were certainly elements of jazz that I appreciated and wanted to incorporate into my playing. And so I was drawn to songs like this, where I was like, this has got those elements that I hear in jazz. So I learned songs like this and learned how to use the different types of seventh chords and the chromatic voice leading and the dominant function. There's a lot of 6, 2, 5, 1 movement in this song, which comes from jazz. So if you're like me and you want to learn some elements of jazz, but you want to do it with a song that maybe is more in the genre that you are comfortable listening to, check out Please Come Home for Christmas. I do have a full chart that's available for free on my website. And let's see, anything else I want to mention about this when we get to the next section? So we have this 4-chord is major, then 4-chord is minor action happening here. So I'm in the key of A. It goes up to the 4-chord D major, then D minor, then back to A. And some people are like, why does that work? It sounds good, it works, but why would you play D minor when you're in the key of A? Well, we have more chromatic voice leading here. The major third F sharp goes down a half step to F natural. There's your D minor chord. Goes down a half step again to E. There's the fifth of E when you go back to A. So that little half step melodic line connects the chords there. I think that's also called a line cliche. Line cliche is what they call that. That's what I was trying to remember earlier. Then we have secondary dominance when you're in the key of A. The 2 chord is supposed to be minor. Well, why not play it as a dominant seventh? Because B7 leads to E in the key of E, and so if we want to go to A's 5 chord E, we can lead to it with a B7. And then how about this? How about we raise the major third of that E chord to... Ooh, that adds even more tension on that 5 chord. That's resolved back on the 1 chord. Good stuff. I believe I actually did a full podcast on this song, but in this particular episode today, we're just going to talk about a little bit about all of my Christmas songs. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Please Come Home for Christmas video and a full chart is available on my website. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to go back to that email. Okay, the next one is Jingle Bell Rock. So I have always been, I'm going to pull up the video that I have posted to YouTube here. I have always been a fan of this song, and I love that rockabilly guitar in it. So here's a little bit of the video I posted. And I actually do a complete playthrough. And in this case, I am playing the guitar licks from the song note for note. And I have tab in the video that play, so you can follow right along and learn the Bobby Helms Jingle Bell Rock licks. Just search Jingle Bell, Desi Cerna Jingle Bell Rock on YouTube, and you can learn some of these great licks. Also some jazzy elements in this one too. Now I don't have a chart for this one. I just put the tab like actually in the video. There's a player, so it's moving along with me as I play. But you have so this is in D. But you have stuff like 6 chords, and then forms of dominant seventh, and that's probably a version that you may not know. It's a neat little voicing there. It's actually a 9 chord. My bad. We got a dominant seventh, a 9, a major third, and a root. Whoops. That would be a form of A7 or A dominant in the key of D here. And if I jump ahead, there's some other interesting things that happen in here. There's some 9 chords like this. What's interesting about this is that the guitar is not playing the changes. It's just poking in with little chords here and there, and then little licks here and there. So, for example, when it goes to into the chorus, which goes to G, you have the parts like that, and that lead into different chord changes. Where in this case, those are all parts of a B7. So you're in the key of D, you're going to your 6 chord, playing it as a dominant, leading to your 4 chord. So we have jazzy movement here. I do explain this in the video, because after I do the full playthrough, then for the rest of the video, I kind of walk you through and explain the what I'm doing. And then I have another video that's called Jingle Bell Rock, How Does This Song Work?, where I don't play the licks from the song. I actually teach you the harmony and the changes in the music. So I have 2 different videos. So I'm sorry, I should have clarified that. I have the Jingle Bell Rock, How Does This Song Work?, where I give you an overview of harmonically what's happening in the music and the chord change structure. And then I have Jingle Bell Rock Lead Guitar Tab, and that's where I play the specific parts from the recording and provide tablature. So let's pull up the other one, Jingle Bell Rock, How Does This Song Work? And I don't think I have a chart for this one, but I explain it in the video, so you can watch the video there. Okay, sometimes I make charts, sometimes I put the tab in the video, sometimes I just make videos and I just talk, you know what I mean? But there's some really great licks here. I was going to explain this part. These are just inversions of a B7 chord, so I've got, D sharp and the E, which is out of a B7 chord, and then I have F sharp and the A, which is out of a B7 chord, and then I have A and B out of a B7 chord, and then I go to a G and a B out of a G chord. So it's... So there's some interesting things happening in here. If you're a student of one of my theory books and you learn about some of this type of harmony and some of this type of movement, particularly when we get into elements that are a little jazzy, here's a song where you could use that, and like when it comes back to D, you have the stuff like that. That's just major thirds there. Just climbing up a major scale with one note a third ahead. And so on. And then you go backwards. Good stuff. I talk about playing in thirds, and there's a good example of doing that. And is there anything else I want to talk about in this song? I use a semi-hollow guitar because I don't have one of those big hollow rockabilly guitars. As I listened to this video, preparing for this podcast, I also felt like I had way too much compression on my guitar. And then of course you have like the, those kind of rockabilly things, where it's interesting, where there's some kind of bluesy bends, but there's also some triad stuff, major 7 stuff. Major thirds, and that ending chord. Ooh, that's nice. We have a second and a 6 in there. Don't get to use that guitar too often. Don't get to use that chord on guitar too often, unless you're playing a lot of jazz or this style of music here. That's Jingle Bell Rock. Check out the 2 videos I have on YouTube. One will teach you the basic structure and harmony of the song. The other will specifically teach you the lead guitar licks. They're all free, people. Didn't you get the email? If you didn't get the email, go to my website, guitarmusictheory.com, and either just enroll in one of the free courses, select one of the choices that I give you right there on the homepage, like, hey, what do you need to do? Enroll in a free course, or just hit the subscribe link, and that way you can get updated. You can get emails when I send this sort of stuff out. Okay, next, Away in a Manger. This is an old video. Well, it's old. Let's put it this way. I'm watching the video, and I have no gray hair. That's how old it is. I think I did this 11 years ago. I have aged a lot. I look pretty good in this video. I got a real handsome sweater on, too. So you might want to check out this video just to see that handsome sweater. So this is a little chord melody piece. I'm playing it with a capo at the 5th fret, and then I actually take the capo off and I say, all right, let me teach you this in the open position. And if you view it on my website, there is tablature, right? Yes, there is. There's tablature. You can click on a link, and there's so you could print it out or just view that. And this is great. It's pretty simple. I'm going to do it without the capo here in the key of C. So. So it's pretty basic. It's in the key of C, and you got C, F, G. There's a D minor, G, C, and I added the melody. So you're playing chord melody. You're playing parts of the chords, and you're playing the melody. Hence the name, chord melody. And it's pretty simple. I'm not a very sophisticated fingerstyle player. You have some people like Chet Atkins or Tommy Emmanuel or classical players who are very, very skilled at this. But I like the general idea of being able to finger pick and being able to play at least some melody with some chords and some root notes and stuff. And so if that's new to you and you want to explore that, you could try this out because it's pretty simple. I keep it pretty simple. You got a C chord, and then you're picking some melody. And I start out super simple. how you could add in more if you want. You know, let's see. There's a nice G9 chord. We got the dominant seventh and the ninth in there. So this is kind of a good little introduction to some fingerstyle. And then you can just put a capo on and play it in different keys. I think I was performing it with capoed at the 5th fret. I like the way it sounds up there. This would be the key of F. Sounds good on electric. You could play it on acoustic like I do in there. But fun little song to play, and maybe it'll challenge you if fingerstyle is new to you. If fingerstyle is not new to you, maybe this is one that you never played anyway, so it'll just help for you to look at my chart to put it together. Another really good one is the next one on my list here, What Child Is This?, which is a Christmas song, but it's based on the original song is Greensleeves. This is also old, and I am dressed very handsomely in this video as well. I got nice pants. I got a shirt, jacket, shacket thing going on here. You don't want to miss that. I also look like I'm about 30 pounds lighter. In recent years, I've learned how to eat properly, which means a lot of protein, and hit the weights. And now I can fill out a t-shirt and my jeans in a good way. I look back at some of my other videos and I'm like, golly, I was skinny. Most of you probably still think I'm skinny. I am. But I'm just normal amount of skinny now, with a good amount of muscle today. Hey, fun fact, somebody challenged me to see if I could do one complete lat pull down on the lat pull down machine at the rec center today using the entire stack. I think it was 345 pounds. I did it. I got 2 reps. Ha ha ha. So next time you say I'm too skinny, meet me at the rec center, and we'll see who's got more muscle on them. Okay, back to Greensleeves here. So I have that capoed up at the 3rd fret in the video. This might actually be easier than the previous one. I'm not sure. What child is this? Away in a Manger. And I have a chart too that you can look at for this. Yes, I do. This is an A minor, and it's got some A harmonic minor in it. That gives you a dominant 5 chord. And it also has, so actually let me take this off, because I had the capo on, so that technically wasn't A minor. Now this is A minor. There's our E7 that leads to A minor. That's the raised 7th in the A minor scale, G sharp. Gives you the major 3rd and the E dominant chord that leads to and resolves on A minor. Interestingly, this also has an F sharp in it. Whoa, that's not in the scale. We should have an F natural in there. Where does that come from? Yeah, this is kind of interesting. That would be part of like the melodic minor scale. You know? The melodic minor scale has a raised seventh like the harmonic minor scale, but it also has a major sixth. So you can consider that use of the melodic minor scale, which is something that doesn't happen much at all in a lot of rock music. It's just not common. The only examples I can think of would be this, if you count this as this isn't even a rock song, or it happens in Yesterday by the Beatles. So we rock players don't really deal much with the melodic minor scale. If it comes up very sparingly, like this, one note. Now, if you were a jazz player and playing bebop jazz, melodic minor is very important, plays a very important role in that harmony. But I ain't a jazz player. I don't play bebop jazz. So I normally don't teach it because I focus my instruction so much on popular rock music. Anyway, you could consider this a little bit of the harmonic minor scale with that F sharp there. And for me, I think about the song House of the Rising Sun. There's an F sharp. There's an F natural. It's similar in that it's got that A harmonic minor in there, and then it goes to a D chord with an F sharp, and then a D chord with an F natural. So House of the Rising Sun is, you could think of it as some melodic minor and some natural minor mix. You could think of it as modal interchange. I think I have a How Does This Song Work lesson on that song. But back to Greensleeves, you know, if you're just getting started with fingerstyle playing, chord melody, you could play Greensleeves with one thumb and one finger and just go. And I believe that's how I teach it to you initially in the video, and that's how I have it tabbed. And then I say, okay, if you can use one finger with a thumb, you could add in some other fingers and pick more strings. So it's just a really simple, easy way to jump into some chord melody playing that doesn't require a lot of skill. That is Greensleeves. You can find it on my website. You can find it on YouTube and probably Facebook as well. But if you go to my website, there is a chart with it. And finally, the last Christmas lesson that I have, also on the website, is there also a chart. Two charts. I give you a super simple way to do this, and then I give you the way that I actually perform it in the video. And let's play that video. What am I wearing in this video? I look so nice in the others. I'm back to this was recorded at the same time as Away in the Manger. I'm wearing the same outfit. And hi. I'm Desi Cerna. Hi, Desi. Ooh. I'm going to show you how to play the popular Christmas carol, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. I'm looking good here. The hair game is strong. No gray. Those were the days. Shout out to Westgate Chapel Church in Toledo, Ohio. That's actually where this was filmed. And one of the guys who was on staff there, was he on staff doing video work? I paid him to do this video for me. And we just used one of the worship centers at the church there, where I was a member for many years before I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. We wish you a Merry Christmas. I'm going to play this without the capo. When I use a capo, I usually like to learn something without the capo initially. When I'm teaching it, I like to teach something without the capo because I don't want to say C chord, A minor chord when I'm capoed, because sometimes it gets confusing when I'm talking about notes or something. So I usually will say, let's learn it without the capo and then put the capo on. Here's the key I played it in, or you can move it around and play in whatever key you want. This is in the key of C. And I do some interesting things here with the melody. I'm using some sixth intervals. Ooh, can I keep going? Yes, I can. So I incorporate some of those sixth intervals when I play the melody. Next part. No sixths there. And then... this one's a little challenging the way it moves around, but this would still be considered a beginner level chord melody song. Maybe it's just challenging to me because I'm kind of limited on my finger picking skills. I don't know, but I do like the use of those sixths. So let's talk about what sixths are. So I'm in the key of C, and I'm picking E and C. And we call that a sixth interval because in music theory, intervals are measured from the note in the bass position and then to the note in the upper voice or the top position. So we've got E in the bottom and C on top. Okay, well, how many steps away are those notes in the scale? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 notes away. And if I go up the scale, so I'm not going to go to the next note in the scale, would be F in the bass position, and then the next note in the scale in the top position is D. Now I have F and D. Well, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes away in the C major scale, and then I can keep going. So next I'm going to have G and E. There's 6 away, and so on. Sixth intervals, they're great. We use them on guitar quite a bit. Think about like a blues and A, Killing Floor, or think about something like Peace Train by, Cat Stevens. That again. Very useful. We guitarists use these sixths all the time. Now, in my mind, I think about sixths as also actually being like the scale harmonized in thirds. If I'm going to play the scale and harmonize it in thirds, I'm going to play C. So I'd play C, and then a third ahead in the scale would be E, and then I go to the next note in the scale, D, its third is F, G, E, B, and so on. So that's playing in thirds. That makes sense. Well, when I play in sixths, I'm still playing C and E. I'm just putting the E in the bass position. I've inverted it. So instead of being C, E, I invert it. I flip it. It's E, C. Well, technically in music theory, if you're going to do that, then you don't call it a third anymore. You call it a sixth because you count from the note in the bottom position to the note in the top position. Okay, I get that. That makes sense. But to my ear, I'm like, yeah, but I'm still just playing through the scale, C scale, and I'm playing the note with its third. C's third is E, D's third is F, E's third is G, and so on. So you can think of it that way. Well, isn't it really still like thirds harmony, but you just kind of flipped it, you inverted it, and put the third in the bass position? That's exactly what it is. But in music theory, we call that sixths because they are 6 steps apart. That always confused me when, like before, because I was like, well, if you call them six, like I understand why you call thirds thirds, because we're hearing thirds, right? Root third, root third, root third. But if you call something a sixth, well, then I would expect to hear it a sixth sound, like C6. That's where you have C, a C chord with an A in it, C6. But I don't hear a sixth harmony when I do this. But I had to realize that, okay, I'm confusing two different things. There's a 6 chord when you play a chord and add a 6 to it. That'd be 6 harmony. But then there's this concept of playing scale notes that are separated by 6 scale steps. And we call those sixths. But when I resolve this, I resolve to C and E, which I realize are the root and major third, because it's thirds harmony. But we call it sixths, because that's the interval. Are you following me here, people? Anyway, I make use of that idea, playing in sixth when I play the melody here to We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Ah. Interesting chord changes here. So we got C, F, D7, G, E major, A minor, F, D minor, G, C, or just F, G, C, I think is actually how I play it and teach it. So we're in the key of C here, but like some of these other Christmas songs, we had some jazzy elements in there. So we've got C to F, that's 1 to 4. And then we go 2, 5, D to G, but instead of playing it diatonic, D minor to G major, we play D dominant 7th. We have a secondary dominant that leads to G. And here's another secondary dominant. We use an E major chord, which pushes to A minor. So this is interesting. We just talked about harmonic minor in the last song, What Child Is This?, where in A minor, instead of playing its normal E minor, you raise that note to get an E major, so you get the leading tone into A. Well, you're actually using that temporarily in We Wish You a Merry Christmas. You're in the key of C, and then it goes to the 6th chord, and it gets there first with an E major. So we have like a temporary shift of focus where we're taking some of that harmonic minor to move to A minor. And then, whoops. I'm making a lot of mistakes with these songs. Maybe I should have pulled these up and practiced these before I started recording this podcast. Hey, I'm human, just like you guys. I make mistakes. sometimes people comment about how they wish they could play like me because I'm just so polished and perfect, and in some of my videos. And I have to remind them, hey, like I practiced and rehearsed, and then there were multiple takes, and then I took the best take and put it in the video. So don't let that discourage you, people. I make mistakes here. Anyway, so we wish you a Merry Christmas. It's got some nice chord changes. Kind of helps you think a little outside of the box. If you're used to typical, pop song chord progressions, and then you could play chord melody. You could add the melody in there, and I show you how to do that in the video. And then you could use some sixth. And make use of that. So lots of really... it just gives you an opportunity to use stuff that you might not use on your typical pop and rock songs, and introduces you to some theory. I shouldn't say that, actually. These elements do come up in pop and rock songs. Certain jazz music or certain more traditional chord progressions always use this stuff. There was lots of dominant function, lots of secondary dominants, and everything, so it was more commonplace. But if you're like, most people, and you're primarily playing pop and rock music, when you learn, some jazz harmony or some, old Christmas songs or something like that, you learn about some half-step movement, some diminished chords, some secondary dominants, that sort of thing, then when those things do come up every now and then in pop rock music, they don't seem so foreign to you. And you hear it and you're like, oh, no big deal. That's just a diminished chord, or that's just a secondary dominant, or that's temporary harmonic minor. We're pivoting to the minor. And I think that's where a lot of my theory students want to be. They're not necessarily looking to go down the bebop jazz rabbit hole or anything like that. They want to just be able to understand how the popular music that they listen to is composed, and when there's something a little out of the ordinary, something that's beyond just a typical, chord progression or typical scale, they don't want to be frightened or confused by it. They want to be able to say, oh, that's just a little harmonic minor. That's just a little secondary dominant. So these little Christmas song lessons will help introduce you to that. Get that sound in your ear. Feel what it's like to play those changes on your guitar. And then you're going to be all that much better when you go back to playing your pop and rock music. All right, podcast 169 is a wrap, and I just realized I wasn't recording the audio from my computer as I was playing those videos I was pulling up. You may have faintly heard it bleed into my vocal mic. Oops, my bad. Sorry about that. Don't forget that you can check out all of these videos. You'll find them on YouTube or Facebook, or you can just go to my website, guitarmusictheory.com, and use the search bar, and you can search for any one of these titles. Don't overwhelm yourself. You don't have to learn them all. Just pick one and work on one song during this holiday season, and it'll teach you something a little different and a little new. And don't forget that if you're not on my email list, you're not only going to miss messages when I send out free lessons like this, but you're also going to miss announcements when I announce classes and special courses and stuff like that I have available. So I will have some Zoom group classes coming up here at the beginning of the year, where we're going to talk about guitar soloing and improvisation and jamming together. I've done these before. I did them last year. They were very successful, where we all meet in a group on Zoom, and I present a lesson, and I will answer questions, and then I provide the recording of those Zoom sessions later, along with any lesson material. Sometimes there's backing tracks, or there's some tablature, or there's some neck diagrams and that sort of thing. And I post it in the member area. When you enroll in one of these classes, you get access to it in the member area so that you can review it. And then each week I update that member area with the recordings and the materials for that week. And it's like a course, but it's more interactive because we're doing it live. And you can ask questions and participate. Or some people like to just tune in and just watch. And then the nice thing is that if you can't make one of those classes, no big deal, because the recording is going to be posted. So I've got some fun stuff coming up here. You don't want to miss that. I'm actually shifting more toward doing these types of interactive classes. That's what the demand is, and I've really enjoyed it. So make sure you're on my email list so that you get notified. I'm sure that I do have some podcast listeners that tune in regularly but aren't receiving my email messages, which is the main way I communicate with my followers is through email. So you can join the list easily by either just going to the website, clicking on the subscribe link that's in the website navigation, or you can enroll in any one of the free courses. I ask you a question about your playing, and then you can select a free course that's appropriate for your level. Once you're enrolled in the free course, then you're subscribed to my email list. And I'm not going to spam you. I don't email that often. I do email about new paid courses and stuff that's available. I email about free stuff that's available. And then sometimes I ask questions and take polls. So you can also have input on which classes am I going to offer next. So I would love to have your input. So head over to that website, guitarmusictheory.com. Make sure you're on the email list. That's all I have to say for today. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. And don't forget that to subscribe to this podcast wherever you might be listening to it. And if you're able, give it a 5-star review and leave some comments. And then keep playing and stay tuned for more.